computer.
Oh.
And then we will switch host over to you.
Awesome. So we're currently recording. If you do not want to be recorded or don't want your image to be recorded, then please go ahead and turn off your feed for your camera. But please feel free to leave yourself unmuted unless you feel that there is a great deal of distracting noise in your environment. Awesome. So yeah, I'll go ahead and start with a little bit of like, where am I? Who am I? Why am I here? Being your teacher in this, right? So my name is Shentat. I have only one name, Shentat. It's
Is it self-chosen?
It is. However, I went ahead and went back and changed it on my birth certificate and driver's license and all of my legal documents. I didn't want to have two like entities out there in the universe, right? Shentat, that is me, and this vestigial legal entity that no longer really fits with, you know, it. And a lot of that has to do with my relationship with my family of blood and all of the rest of it, which yeah, we all get issues. So anyways, and when I took vows in the craft, I really wanted to just like step into that, right? And step into all of the power of that name. And so yeah, like that. So as soon as I took my vows, I changed my name legally, and that was done deal. And 2002 maybe, I think that was. So my name is Shentat. I'm in Denver, Colorado-ish, one of the suburbs. And my wife, Jade, and I run Witchcraft Coven out of really our home. We have one of our extra bedroom is set up as a temple. And we have been a teaching coven since 2002, and teaching the craft since several years before that together, and practicing the craft. Collectively, I think we have probably 50 years, maybe, between the two of us of practicing the craft. I'm 55 years old, and Jade's 49. No, oh, are you 50 this year? Oh my God, girl turns 50. Oh my God, she's back there reminding me, not 49 anymore. Oh my God, that's hilarious. But anyways, so yeah, so the traditions that I'm initiated into, I have several. The ones that I'm really just fine with kind of sharing is Covenant of the Witches, which is our own home coven. I also have several initiations in other lines, all of them either Wiccan based or American traditional witchcraft. So yeah, like that. If you want more about my line and my lineage, that's awesome. I'm happy to share it, but it really does not relate to any of this material. None of this is related to any of my lines or lineages. This is all stuff that you can kind of learn and pick up. And then the additional sort of deeper understandings are from my own practice in sigilization. So as relates to this course, I have used sigils for magical work since before I even knew what magical work was, right? Where this concept of invoking or calling into being or communicating with or manipulating or influencing a thing by the use of its name, right? This is all part of what is very well defined as sympathetic magic. And every kind of spiritism, spiritualism, witchcraft, magic, they all, in one way or another, every line has its own version of a sigil, which goes by many different names: a yantra, or a veve, or a lamen. All of these names pretty much just mean a bunch of lines put together that represent the true name or essence of the thing that's being invoked. Okay, awesome. So the way I really want to approach this is super easy. Each week, we're going to be doing a sigil. So each week, you guys will do your own sigil for your own work. And let's get deep into it already. We're gonna, then once we have our sigil, honey, would you hand me a piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper? Thank you, dear. So all we really need, you can do this in a notebook or you can do this loose leaf. I'm gonna do mine loose leaf, right? So all you really need is, on one side, we're gonna do our sigil. And on the other side, we're going to draw 2 lines. And I'll show you what I mean by that. And all they're doing is just dividing the page into thirds, right? So on the top is number 1, 2 in the middle, 3 is the bottom. So on the front will be the actual sigil that we draw, and on the back you will have 3 journal entries. 1, 2, and 3. Where what you can do with that journal entry, or what the expectation is, and we're going to call the journal entries Big Chief entries, okay? Some of you may remember the Big Chief notebooks from grade school. Okay, there you go. Tanya remembers the Big Chiefs, right? With the wood, yeah, anyways. But so after you do...
Shows age.
That's right. After you do your working, right, then you will, through the next couple of days afterwards, because so for each week, right, you're going to do 1 sigil on one side, and you're going to do 3 workings, or 3 castings of the sigil every week. And it doesn't matter what day, it doesn't matter what time. You can do all 3 castings in one day. You can do the casting the first day, the third day, the 5th day. You can do the casting, whatever it is, but you will do 3 castings with each sigil. Okay. And after the casting, journal. So you do your casting of your sigil, and then you journal your experience, your responses, issues. I see your hand up. Afterwards, you may want to go back, so leave a little bit of space, and you may want to go back the next day or the following day and say, hey, my sigil looks like an eagle, and I saw 2 eagles. Tanya, you have a question.
I do. When you held up the paper and it was it said 2, 3, sorry, it said 3, 2, 1. Was there any particular reason that it said 3, 2, 1 instead of 1, 2, 3?
Nope, none at all.
Okay.
First casting, second casting, third casting.
Okay,
That's
that
all.
was just my brain wanting it, everything.
Yep, absolutely, to be in order. And you can organize this however you want to. You know, if you want your 3 journal entries to be down this way, down the center, down the other side, if you want it to go across, however you want to do it, right? That's up to you. But we need 3 Big Chief entries for every sigil. Because the final class, the 13th class, is really yours, right? As a practitioner, you will take all of, and you're going to keep all of these sheets, right, that you create. And you're going to, so before the last class, you're going to go through every single sheet and every single journal entry, and you're going to circle words and phrases and things that like need to be expressed, pressed out into the universe. and that's the best of Big Chief, right? And you'll be presenting the best of Big Chief. You guys will in the final class. Okay. Yeah, totally. It's really exciting. And the especially for working like this, where we're going at this through 13 weeks, we're going to have 10 sigils that we've done at least 3 castings of each. That's 30 castings. And you'll be pulling bits and pieces out of that and creating the best of Big Chief, right? Which is just one last cover sheet, right? Your last cover sheet will be your best of Big Chief, right? Where you can take all those phrases and words, you can make a mind map out of it, you can make a dialogue out of it, you can make a dream story out of it, you can do whatever you want to with it, but it's going to have those elements from every casting you've done. Okay. Awesome. So we've talked about sympathetic magic. We've talked about some of the names for a sigil, a veve, a yantra. We've talked about the fact that it is related to lines, that it is pictorial in nature, right? So a symbolic representation of a god, a demon, the person's desire for you to either understand or to manifest. Okay. And I'm going to show you different techniques. We're going to use a very specific technique in this class that really focuses much more on a symbolic representation than on some of the sort of classic technology of sigilization, but we'll get to that in just a bit. Before I dive into the class syllabus, talking about the classes, before I dive in any further, I do want to hear from you guys 3 things, actually. I want to know what you prefer to be called in the pronouns that you want to use. I want to know why this work particularly interests you. And I want to know, do you have any experience using sigils at all in your own practice, whatever that is? Who wants to begin?
Do you want to go first, Tanya, or do you want me to go first?
Go ahead and go, and then I'll go.
Okay. I'm Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I have about this much work that I've done with sigils. I made one originally when we moved into our new house.
Yeah.
I just asked for it to bless and protect our home, and so far, for this being an older house, it has blessed and protected it.
That's right.
And we have not had any issues. So I've done a lot, and Alex knows this, I've done a lot of solo work lately, just because I've been extremely busy. So I did look into sigils for a little bit, but I'm excited to learn more because I do want to be able to expand on this a lot more from the very basics that I did learn.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So I'm Tanya, she, her. And I, Laura Tempest, I've read one book on sigils, and I sort of did the work within it in the journaling, not the journaling per se, but sort of the work and how to, the art part of it, which is the art that attracts me to it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like about it is that it's connected to language. And I consider myself a mystic crystal witch. Crystals are my thing. My thing. But for whatever reason, the sigil and having its connection with language, that's sort of like the art and the language.
Yeah.
Then they meet they meet.
Yeah.
And then they're able to go out. I guess
awesome.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. And, Erin, what Tanya is talking about is a very traditional technique, and I'm going to cover the traditional technique. I mentioned that before. And so the book that you read, chances are these were one of the chaos students. Chaos magicians really sort of pioneered sigilization in its use contemporaneously anyways for magical practitioners. I do also, I think there's one other student in the classroom that I want to hear from first though.
Hi. So I'm Alex, she, her. I have been studying different forms of paganism and witchcraft since I was about 4 years old. My mom is pagan and she's a witch. My dad is pagan, and I also grew up learning from Shentat when I was in high school.
Shocking.
Right? I have been initiated into a coven in Colorado. I have been doing religious practice work for a very, very, very long time, since I was little. And the very first divinations that I grew up doing were tarot and runes work. And there's a lot of sigilization within tarot and runes work in itself. And so I learned about that, and then it kind of took me down a path. I worked with a mentor named Rena, who really taught me a lot about sigil.
Rena Sesho? Yes.
Yep.
No, she's a brilliant woman and an incredible witch.
She really is. And so I did tons of meditation work with her, and part of her meditation work was creating sigils out of your meditation, which was beautiful. And so, yeah, I've done a lot of work with sigils from different mentors, and I'm really excited for this class.
Awesome. This is so cool. This is the most perfect variety of students really to kind of approach a subject matter. So awesome. He, him for me, by the way. And I created this class because this is a class I would want to take.
Yes.
And this is work I want to be doing. So yeah, like that. Awesome. So so far I've seen experience in 2 of the sort of major camps for sigilization. One is what's called apotropaic, and the other is manifestation. Right? With manifestation, we actually want to bring something into existence. We want to call it into our lives. We want to call it into our awareness, our consciousness. We want to shed light on that object, right? Or we want to call it forth, or its presence or its influence. And then there's apotropaic work. And I think, Erin, you mentioned that you use a protective sigil for your home. This is this is apotropaic. What it's a Greek word, and it means, I would have to actually look it up for the specific breakdown of the root words, but essentially it means to please the unpleasant spirit so it stays away. Right? Just like putting a bowl of sugar out on your front porch to keep the sugar ants out of your house. This is apotropaic movement, right? So, and the spelling for that, by the way, is in the OOE document, which are just talking points. So let's.
By the way, just to let you know, if you would like to, if you would like to pull up any documents, you can share your screen on here or annotate the screen so you can write on your screen if you would like to.
Awesome.
You can pull up a blackboard. There's like an actual blackboard and you can write on it directly on your screen.
Let's see. That sounds really useful and awesome. And I'm trying to find the control.
If you just click share screen, it gives you, there'll be a little whiteboard option that pops up. If you just click on the share screen little green arrow thing.
Oh,
yeah, and then you can just
look at you brilliant girl. All right, very good. So you guys let me know when you can see my screen. Good, okay, good. I have a grid view of you guys, gals, awesome humans, and I see, there are my controls. Very good. Okay, so as I said, all of the supplies that you need, on-lined drawing paper, pen or pencil of your choosing. If you love the art part of this, so for like you, Tanya, please feel free to use whatever it is that if you want actual painters, like actual like drawing pencils and erasers, so you can do multiple iterations of this, please do. You know, the creativity and creative license is absolutely encouraged for everyone. Okay, so there are several things that we're going to be approaching in the class. We already talked about what the nature of his sigil is. I want to show you guys some examples from my actual work of sigils that I've used in the past. So let me know if you cannot see that. I realize that's probably small for your viewing screen, but can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
All right,
really
very good.
amazing.
So this work was both an invocation and a work towards egregore, or one mind, or group thought, or group mind, or a linkage, psychic linkage between a whole group of individuals, right? And if you take a look closely in the inner circle, you actually see that there are letters, right? Each of those letters is the first letter of the name of one of the people in attendance at this particular weekend intensive working, right? The sigil itself is all on the inside, and you can see that there's a bird head surmounted by a plume, 4 of them surrounding what is very similar to like a triscale or a breed's cross. Well, it's actually a Yazidi symbol for the god Melek Taos, as is the whole thing, right? That's kind of who we were working with and how we were working. Now you can even see the Sanskrit, right? Technically it's Ugaritic representation. There's a 7-pointed star. All of these artistic elements that are wrapped into this have provenance. They have they're packed, hyper packed with symbology for the people that were at this weekend, right? And it itself was a group art project. So everyone came, did a little bit of work, went, came back, did a little bit more work. And I, of course, continued the work after this point. This is the point that we actually brought it back from the weekend. So this was like a baseline template out of which I fleshed out the rest of the magical working by actually filling in the entire sigil. But I wanted you to see that, you know, this is this one is highly complex and required a ton of people, right? To make it happen.
You used the word invocation.
Yes.
Can you provide an explanation of what you mean by invocation, please?
I sure will. So in the craft that I have learned and that I teach, there are 3 sort of basic modes that a priest can be in. And that is evocation, invocation, and manifestation. So evocation, where you call a divine influence to begin working in your life. In invocation is the actual physical presence of that divinity or entity here in your body sharing space. And then there's manifestation, where this up and down, this very like vertical relationship to the divine becomes integrated and begins pushing outward, right?
Okay. That's
manifestation. So we call these the work of the 3 degrees. First, the work up to and into first degree, the work of up to and into second degree, and the work up to and into third degree.
Cool.
In the craft. Now, invocation.
That was a good question.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for invocation in the context of this classroom, right, we will actually be doing invocation work. So whether your philosophical frame is Christian, whether it's pagan, whether it's something else, all of those are going to be useful and usable within this within the system I'm going to hand you, and you can use it with your own concept of the divine.
Okay.
Awesome. Now, when we do invocation work, right, then we'll kind of cover that subject, and you'll have a very firm grasp and understanding by then of what we're kind of how we're doing what we're doing. Okay. Now, here's another one, this one where I wanted to, and notice that all of these have sort of a different name, right? The one that we just looked at was a devotional working. This one is an interrogation, where I wanted to find an intersection between several entities and their current. And so I took the actual veve of Aloha. I took alchemical European alchemy, right? Alchemical symbol for Lucifer, and blended that with a bunch of other symbol sets specific to the Melissae or sacred prostitutes. And in addition to Kabbalah.
Yes.
Because it wasn't enough already, right? But, and then I cast this sigil for weeks. This is really part of my second degree work, where I'm in a complicated position where I'm formerly Christian, I'm now a witch, and the god that I'm devoted to, his name is Set. He's ancient Egyptian, and way later he wound up with the name Satan. So you can imagine there are daddy issues going on that have to be like clarified and sorted out, right?
Yeah.
And right. So I had to sift through and find how much of my own internal psychometry is related to this fear, guilt, bad, good, evil, very bifurcated two-dimensional universe, and opening up into a broader perspective that includes things that are complicated and yet still required. Right. Mm-hmm. So that was part of this interrogation. So we've seen.
So in a sense, as you're doing it, you're working through a personal development stage or step or whatever you want to call it.
That's right.
That what I gathered is like you putting it together as you do the work internally, mm-hmm. and then it, in a sense, manifests, although not in the way that you use it, but it then manifests as a piece of that piece that you just showed.
Yes, that's right. That is the physical sigil that gets cast. And we'll talk about that methodology in a bit. I just want to show you a few like actual examples so that you have a context to kind of play with, right? Unlike this sigil, which now we're on a whole different level and layer, right? Where I took one of my initiatory traditions and lines and a core concept from it and translated that directly into a piece of jewelry. This is where, that apotropaic portion comes in, right? Where not only am I trying to invoke this into my life, but I also want to keep these points clean and sharp. And I want a protective symbol that I can wear on my person. One of these sigils that we're going to be doing through the week or through these weeks, you're actually going to have to like fold up, keep it in like a mojo bag or in your purse or wherever, so you can pull it out, remind yourself, maybe even cast it again. All on the sly, in the grocery store, casting.
Oh, I love this symbol. I remember when you taught me this one.
Yes, that's right. Iron and pearl. That's right. Yes. Yeah, and hence the hematite and the pearls all the way around. Yes. Because the concept sex, pride, self-power, and passion is what we would call iron. And there's a lot of published work on this. You can look at Starhawk Spiral Dance, and she has a bunch of work on it. But and we have
Catlin. Thank you guys for coming to class today. Sorry, two more
Hi,
people
so-
joined. I just thought I'd say
Oh,
that.
2 more people joined. Okay,
Yes.
well, you came in after introductions, so introductions have occurred. The pretty much a definition of sigilization and sigils has already occurred. We are starting to look at practical examples of sigils and their various uses, not just from a perspective of protection and cultivation of self-awareness and power, but also to help create egregore or group mind, and also to trigger manifestation in the universe, right? Where you take this thing and you put your desire on it and you hand it to God, your concept of God, whether that's her, him, they, them, and you say, make 1,000 copies, please, right? So that divinity can do its work, right? Which it has no choice to, but to, right? That this is a thing that I've said before, and you'll hear me say it many, many times. And that is, the universe has no choice but to prove to you anything that you believe very deeply about it, period. It is an interactive interface with you and your own divine nature. But that aside, so we've seen that example. Here's one that is very specifically centered towards invocation. So in this sigil, I have 2 functions, and we're going to be dealing with these functions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're going to be dealing with these functions through the class. And so this is not only a mnemonic, right? So it helps me keep like a whole system in mind and understood through a graphic representation of it, but also is a device of invocation. Each one of these names in these 72 pie slices is one of the Anunnaki, the Guardians of the Outer Dark, the Shimham Farash, the 72 Goetic spirits, the Guardians of the minutes of the universe, which is just a measurement of arc, right? Around the 360 degrees that is around us. So, yeah, and so they can be as highly complicated as really encompassing a whole system of magical work, to just this invocation, to here's one that was simple manifestation, right? This one was related to a particular boss, and trying to slide out from underneath this boss. And so it's right, it's everything from hand got an idea and say make 1,000 copies, which is what this one was, to whole systems, to right? Even this one, which serves a bunch of purposes. This is, you should recognize this.
I love
This
that.
is, yeah, oh, you love it. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? So this is our coven symbol, and has all of those possible meanings. It is an expression of a worldview. It is a martial weapon. It is a tool of invisibility for the people in this coven, so that they are unseen. Because, sorry, honey, you just, witches got to be able to slip away. That's all I gotta say. And yeah, so good. Now we've talked about those. Let's dive into the actual class, the 13 lessons. So today we're talking about orientation, expectations. We're learning our way around a sigil, right? And what's not included in this box. The things that this class is not. This class is not a course that leads to initiation. You do this work and you walk away with the fruits of your work.
Mhm.
Okay. This series of courses does build one on another, right? But this does not constitute a magical system like a published grimoire would be. This is, we are applying the techniques that we learned today, and we're doing it through an extended working. So one of the things you as a student might want to start kind of wrapping your head around is, what long-term work do I really want to focus on and manifest? I'm going to be spending 13 weeks, 12 after this, right? Making sigils and doing work. What needs to be on the bucket list? Okay. Right. I'm not here to give you those ideas. I'm not. So that's what's not in the box. I'm not going to hand you a purpose for your sigilization work. You have to know your intent. Okay. Even if, and this is one of the things that I wanted to mention, even if, like, let's say, all right, you know, I don't know what my intention is, Shantat. I'm just here to learn. You're an asshole and you're mean. No, I'm not actually. You can pull a rune, you can pull a card, you can pull out your stones, you can sit and meditate, you can look at a gorgeous sunset. You can do whatever it takes for you to get the inspiration to understand what work you're going to be doing and what sigils you're going to be casting. Okay. Awesome. To help you along that, I am going to give you a roadmap, however. So the roadmap is, we're going to start right off the bat with systems of 10. And then the next week is systems of 9. And the next one is systems of 8. The next one of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the last sigil we will do is systems of 0. Okay, so we're going from greater and greater complexity, because I'm going to require for the technique we're using that your sigil of 10 have 10 lines. Your sigil of 9 will have 9 lines. Sigil of 8, sigil of 7. Now that doesn't mean that you can't have more. You sure can, but it must have at least 10 lines, 9 lines, 8 lines, 7 lines, 6 lines, all the way down. Okay. What we're doing is we're going to start with this very large macro view, and then we're going to be whittling away detail until we get to a much finer and much larger perspective. Hopefully by the end, and this is my goal for the work for me, is a sigil that really encompasses the idea of, you're going to love this, imminent divinity. And that is the mystical experience. Immediate access right now in this time, place, body, space to your own sense of the divine, both indwelling and the plenum beyond you. Plenum meaning all things. Awesome. So I've given you some titles, right? We're going to go actually.
So I have a question.
I think you muted yourself.
You are on mute, sir.
Unmute.
There you go.
Yeah. How long was I gone?
Just for a few
Just like a
seconds.
second.
Oh, thank God. Okay, good. All right. Yes,
Actually, you were gone
Tanya,
for the last 20 minutes. We didn't
that
catch
would
any
suck.
of that.
That would suck so bad, and I would have to repeat a lot. Okay, Tanya, what's your question?
So my question is, you know, you're talking about going from 10 to 0.
Yeah.
And what it makes me think of is that the potency increases the less numbers there are.
Yes.
So that like 12 has a certain potency, and then 9 has a certain potency, like potency. And I'm using that in the term of strength of power or strength of energy.
Yeah.
And that was just something that I noticed is as you explained it, I was like, oh, it's going towards more of a stronger and therefore more minimal core.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
was
You
also
are
going to
right on.
Ask you if you could define for everyone what casting means.
Yeah, I'm going to get there.
Oh, cool.
Actually,
Awesome.
for
Sorry.
sure.
Never mind.
Nope, you're way ahead, girl. We're not quite there yet. We're going to cover all of the method portions of this after we cover the syllabus. Yep. And then we'll do the required reading, and then we'll have discussion. So yeah, so your first week, or your sigil of 10, right? And you can let this be a touchstone, right? Because I want to cover everything from being able to create a sigil that is a mnemonic device for you, another sigil that is a manifestation tool for you, another sigil that is martial or protective, another that is apotropaic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to cover all the bases with it, and in as close a proximity as possible, right? And leading up to something bigger. So we're going to start inside complexity, self-reflection, and observation. So the sigil really is about mnemonic. It should have 10 parts to it. And with this one, with this sigil, right? And we'll be doing some of the work. So the way each of the classes is going to work is we will do, we'll do a systems talk. We will do the sigil. You can cast it later, but we'll do the sigil together, right? And then we'll review the reading and charts, right? So we'll have more discussion time to flesh out what do you mean? I need to self-observe, and I need to, what mnemonic of what, right? And we'll cover that, right? The different aspects of selfhood, your life. You can think of it as an audit of, like, am I meeting my Maslow's needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Am I meeting those? I don't know. Where's the gap? Awesome. Well, let's identify it. Let's create it in this sigil, which is going to be the work, right? We're going to move from that to a joyous rite of organization, self-gnosis, and the creation of a servitor. Now, this is, again, now we're getting, Tanya, to some of your sort of classic stuff with understanding the purpose of sigils to interrogate self and create fetches. In other words, parts of self on the astral that go out, grab, do manipulate, come back, and return with more information and or manifestation. Okay. The next one, we're going to stand in power. We're going to evoke personal power. This is servitor 2, right? So we're going to do 1, creation, and 2, destruction. Everything we create as a witch, we destroy. So the next, reaching for stability, we're going to do exorcism. Here's our atropaic, right? Every witch, the first tech we learn is to exorcise, period. So we're going to be doing exorcism work, linking up incorporation, invocation, demon, angel, deity, guide, entity, egregore work, right? So if you want to do group work with this group, you can. I'm certainly open to that. If you want to do other work with angelic entities, with demons, with actual gods, goddesses, this was going to be the week for you, right? Valid rules for adversity and overcoming inertia and creating momentum out of force of resistance. Finally, we will use sigils for divination purposes. So you'll cast this to gain very specific targeted insights about resistance and problems, challenges to overcome. Awesome. Next is simplifying or orienteering meditation and self, capital S, self. And I'm going to draw a distinction between little self and big self, right? After working is accomplished, future casting, gathering forces and allies. And I do mean future casting. So we're going to cast this sigil into the future with the expectation that the sigil will come back to us in the future. Okay. Now, this is part of creating a feedback loop and like linking up little self, which is this physical shell, all of my experience, all of my learning, all of my activity, all of the consequences of my actions, all of the consequences of my thoughts, and capital S, self. Imagine that container, only what is the umbrella of the divine that contains me? And include that in self, because we all have, even if this is just, I can't imagine what that looks like, what my own personal God soul looks like, my interface to the divine, right? Just like a keyboard is an interface to your PC, we all have a built-in at the factory interface with our own divinity. What is that? Even if you can't even conceive that, this sigil will help you with that work. If you already know what that is, awesome. Then this is for strengthening that relationship. If you have a strong relationship, good. This is for making it permanent. Great. Next, we're going to get into getting nuclear, right? Muse, adversary, hero, mom, dad, baby, lover, beloved, other. This one is really going to be deep, targeted self-work, where we're going to begin unpacking a system of 3 that revolves around the desirer, the desirer, and the challenge.
So isn't that's also some archetypes, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just trying to put it into how I have only been self-recognized as a witch for a few years, but I've been doing the work since I was 17.
Yeah.
So I have a whole set of language that I've figured out, but I'm trying to make it fit what's
what you're seeing here. Yeah.
Yeah, or even in books and stuff. I'm just trying to figure
Oh.
like, okay, what does this mean to me?
Awesome.
Oh, no, I get it. Now that's personal development. Okay, that's what I use. It's whatever, self-learning or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Alex knows my struggle with this. And I'm like,
Well,
is it like this? And she goes, yes, but you just do it differently.
and call it something else. Yeah, that's right.
But you're right. That is the same. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
checking. All right,
That's right. So then the next week is the holy yes meets the holy no, resolving differences in a new harmony, creating center versus circumference, right? And ultimately, you know, the whole goal of that is coming to really in the, you know, balls to bones, understanding, ovaries to bones, understanding that you are center, you are circumference. The witch is the circle that she casts, period. And what does that mean to resonate within that space and to hold all of your own opposites at the same time? Awesome. The last is, the last actual number that we're going to work with, right? The swan dive into the all. We are, I am, IOM. We are one, creating an astral or metaphysical breakthrough. How do I break through? How do I bust a routinized worldview? How do I shake up the system? How do I hit the cosmic reset button? Let's hear. Okay, and creating your own martial weapon. So this will be the week that you actually carry your sigil around with you. Awesome. Off-roading. So this will be the actual last minute, like work with sigils, where we work with the concept of 0 and what is not involved, what is missing, or the lacuna in traffic, the hole in traffic. Where do I merge in a new flow? Does that make sense? Awesome. Cool. Let's do a little bit of, I want to show you guys 2 tools now. Here it is, right here. And we're gonna pop this open. Very good. And let it show all of its things. Okay, so it's time to talk tech. So we know where we're going with all this, right? We see each one of these weeks, we're going to have a different sigil. We know how we're going to do it. It's super simple. On our pages of paper, we're going to do our big chief entries throughout the week. We're going to do 3 castings per sigil. Okay, now making your sigil. like I said, you need to have at least 10 lines. It can have more. You can certainly incorporate collage, symbology, tear out pictures from magazines, create whatever you want, add it to it, whatever it's going to take to make the hairs on the back of your neck raise.
Yes.
In a
Where
good way,
there,
right?
where there is fear, there's power, and you should be afraid of yourself in this work. Awesome. So I'm going to talk this is very classic text. So Tanya, this will be a little bit of a review for you. Everyone else, this may be new. And this is how do sigils happen? You know, I mean, people create these amazing sigils, and how the fuck do they make them? I don't know, Shadat, tell us, please. Well, and I'm going to take a note really from Israel Regardie's book. He has this awesome book on divination. It's this tiny little book. It's so fucking cute. It's like 70 pages long, mostly glossy, high color print with a little bit of text. And in it, the introduction is the most valuable part of this book, where he really talks about the efficacy of magical systems, and that the most efficacious magical systems are the most complex and at the same time arbitrary, because they leave room for massive amounts of discovery. So, and they don't tie your hands with expectation and disappointment. They allow really everything to expand into a quantum space that's much larger than you, me, it, thought, so that it can collapse into a very specific truth. So how do you collapse into a specific truth? Many operators will use magic squares for constructing sigils. This over here is a magical square, right? What makes it magic is add them up sideways. 2 plus 7 plus 6, 15. Now down, 7 plus 5 plus 3, 15. Oh, let's go diagonal. Let's go 2 plus 5 plus 8, it's 15. It's a magic square. It's just like Sudoku, right? Where no matter what direction you approach the square from, the cross sum of all of these numbers is going to be 15.
I suck. This is not going to work for me.
You can use this as a template. That's why I give it to you, because you
I can't do Sudoku. I can't. My brain is not.
You don't need to
do these things.
You don't need to. But let me show you anyways.
Okay.
So in this example, right, we're going to play with a manifestation of a simple statement. I have clarified my intent down to, I want to complete my implementation project early. And I know what my implementation project is. You don't need to worry about that. It's 2 plans. Oh, I hope they go well. So I want to implement them properly, and this project early. I want to be way ahead of time. So once I have a full and precise statement, I can be rendering these through their numeric value. So if, and the way I'm rendering these, I want to show you, and you can use these tools, by the way, yourself. In the alphabet reductions, you'll see the equivalent for A is 1, B for 2, C for 3, D for 4, all the way through. Now, once you notice, once you get past 10, I'm doing what's called a cross sum. All right. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Interesting. When we get to 19, we get double digits out of our sum, 10. So we continue the reduction to 1. All right. All the way through A to Z. So this gives us a numerical equivalent for each of the letters that we want to render in our sigil. Well, when we actually take the sentence, I want to complete my implementation project early, and you look in the table, these are the letters that are present. A, C, E, I, J, L, M, N, O, P, R, T, W, Y, period. I've taken all of the duplicates out and put them in order. And I've assigned to them each of their numerical equivalents. Okay. When I reduce again, I'm going to take out all of the duplicates of the numerics. And I wind up with 9, 5, 1, 2, 6, 4, 3, 7 in the original order of appearance in the sentence. Okay? And I create a sigil. I just map it right over the numbers and draw the lines from point to point and then remove the template. And there's my sigil. This is not the sigil I'm going to be doing for the work throughout this course, right? But I did want to have a practical example here for you that shows you this is how you get from your intent to an actual sigil. Now, let's talk the rest of tech. So once you have your sigil created, whatever sigil that is, right? And this is why I say you're going to go away and you're going to cast, right? I'm going to provide for you 2 separate possibilities for casting, okay? The first one is mine. It's Austin Spares, it's every Chaos Magicians, it's most of the OTO, which is a huge body of magical practitioners. And that is, we're going to use our own self-sexual gnosis as the driver for the casting. So we're going to co-opt what happens to you physically, electronically, in other words, the electrical system that is attached to you, right? Because you're this incredible EMP generator, and the most complex electrical currents are actually emitting from your heart. They're gorgeous. They look like these rolling lotus flowers. They're magnificent, right? Your physical system, your metabolism, we're going to use breath. It engages every part of it, and that is to, we're all adults, to masturbate with your sigil tattooed on your lover, whatever it is that you're masturbating to. So if that's to a girl, if that's to a boy, if that's to a Furby, if that's to a nebulous cloud, if that's to whatever that is, it's going to have your sigil, the sigil that you created for it, emblazoned. So if I were to do it with this right now, right, I would choose a big membered, big titty, amazing thing that was probably like really yellow and flamey red. And I would tattoo that right on their chest, right? And furiously go at it. Now, you want to furiously go at it and never lose focus on the image. So if you find that you're getting lost in fantasy land, you bring it back. And where am I? Okay, I'm in a new fantasy. Fine. Where's my sigil? Oh, it's on her. Oh, it's on him. Oh, it's on that cloud. Oh, it's on that Furby. Whatever it is, right? Find the sigil, create the sigil. When the sigil is like powerful and you are that close to orgasm and you know you're not going to stop, this is the critical point. Get yourself, don't push yourself through orgasm, right? We all do that, right? We take the 6 minutes because we have 6 minutes and we've pushed one out, right? All of us do that. Don't do that. Enjoy yourself and travel with this experience. Allow yourself to be sensual, beautiful, amazing. Allow this to be gorgeous and do magic for you. What you're doing is you're hooking the magical work onto the engine and powerhouse of sexuality. When you're masturbating, your breath is going to be erratic and go and right. You're going to oxygenate your body. You're going to sweat. You're going to get awesome. It's beautiful. It engages every part of you, including your attention, which is where the real key happens. Now, when you're on that cusp of orgasm and you know you're not going to stop, in other words, I've already triggered the orgasm. All I have to do is relax into it. You cast the sigil into the void of your orgasm. Just let it go. And all the energy that you raised with it. And experience your orgasm. Oh, it's amazing. Yay. Awesome. right? You could even do an additional layer, which I always do, and that is, may the merit of this pleasure go to, right? And offer it to whatever work has to happen. Typically, that's like my prayer candle, where I have like all of my friends, and so has cancer, and so-and-so's dog is doing this, and then there's this, and so-and-so's cat's missing, and their mom just had a stroke, and right? That's the prayer candle. So the merit of that, I always give to that. You can optionally do that. The tech of sigilization. This is traditional. This is this is about as traditional as it gets. This is, like I said, there's OTO, there's chaos magicians, there's all these whole lines of magicians who are using absolutely this tech, specifically with masturbation, orgasm, and casting. Now, there's a second technique. If you are just not there, you're asexual, or you want another technique because you want to be able to do it in the grocery store. Awesome. Then bone up on your visualization skills, right? The physical sigil is a touchstone for you to be able to memorize and remember it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the second casting type, you should have eyes closed. If you open your eyes, you should be able to see it blazoned in your field of vision. Now, some people who are really, really good at visualization can do that. They can be in both places. They can be where they are in the grocery store and still see the blazoned, gorgeous sigil. And if you're really, really good, you can see even more like what's behind the sigil and things moving through the sigil as a doorway. I see that you have a question, Tanya.
Yeah, I do.
Right. However, most people can't. They're not really that great at visualization. So learn it, memorize it, blazon in your memory, and close your eyes. And you'll do what's called a box breath. Okay. Now, if you've done, and I'll come back to you, Tanya, after I describe the box breath. The box breath, it's so called because it looks like a square, right? And that is, you inhale for a count, hold for a count, exhale for a count, hold for a count. So what that looks like is, without ever dumping your breath or gasping for air. If you're dumping your breath or you're gasping for air, your body is panicking because you're trying to slow down your metabolism and focus too much on your breath, right? Box breath can be as aggressive as breath of fire or tiger breath in yoga. Or it can be the box breath I just showed you. Okay. But the whole point is you're oxygenating your body, holding the sigil in your imagination. And you hold it, pack energy. Hold it, pack energy. And I'm going to teach you a little trick. And we do this in one of my witchcraft traditions where some of you may be familiar with the concept of the three cauldrons. If you've done any like reading on Yasmin Galenorn or the Norse mythology, you'll be familiar with the three cauldrons, right? That there's a cauldron of in the belly, that's the cauldron of fire, and then a cauldron in the heart, the heart cauldron, and then the cauldron of invocation, which is in your head, right? And this one holds like all of your psychic and personality and all of that kind of stuff. And this one really is your compassion, your connection to humanity. And then the cauldron of fire in your belly is really like life force and where it goes, right? And how you use it, that economy. So what you would do is you'd make a game of it with your body. How much energy can you hold? Just like with the dog, go get the toy, right? Or with your kitty, kill the mouse, right? Stuffing energy into your body and holding it until you're uncomfortable. Keep holding it, hold until the room is uncomfortable, hold, stuff until you just can't take it, and then stuff some more until all you are is breath and the sigil. And then you cast it into the void. Let a portal open up, throw it in, and let the portal close. And you walk away. Okay. So week 1.
I still have a question.
Oh, yes, Tanya, go ahead.
So you're talking about visualization in the second thing with the box exercise, with the box breathing. Couldn't you just draw the sigil in your aura as a like, I don't know. I can see my aura.
If you wanted to revisit,
like, do put the sigil there, so it's in your aura, so when you're doing the breathing, it's right there.
Honey, if that works for you, do it. No, I'm serious.
I was just wondering if that, because that's
but you should be able to perceive the sigil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your aura.
If you can draw it in your aura and you'll see exactly that sigil, then honey, do that.
Okay.
If that gets you there, and I love what Victor said, right? And that is, black magic is anything that works. White magic is poetry. And this is the same way. Anything that gets you there, if you can see the sigil and then put a train behind it, the train does all the work. And the train is the energy and attention. But then we chuck it into the void. In other words, we take our mimeograph copy of our desire and we hand it to God, whatever her name is. Right? And say, make 1,000 copies, please. And she does. She's like, oh, wow, you did all the work. You made it so clear. Here. Memo machine, right? With the little barrel. Remember that? I remember that.
With the blue ink.
Yes, the mimeographs.
And then you used to smell them when you used to get them.
That's right. Because they always had the ink smell.
Had that cool, that smell.
Yep, that's right.
If I smell this today, it would take me right back. I'd be like, I remember.
So for your own sigils, you can optionally use what I've provided for you. You can use the magic numbers if you want, if you don't feel like being imaginative. I no longer like using, and see, this is where we get like into a really creative space with this class, right? It's 8:43 and we're close to time. And I want to kind of wrap up sort of the expectations with the required reading. And I do want time for chitty chat afterwards, but you can either use these that I've handed you, and this is everything that you need, a magic square and being able to write out a sentence, you're done, right? You just do your reductions and boom, it makes the sigil for you. However, I find they don't work as good. They just don't. If you can find something that speaks to the essence of the truth that is in your intention, right? Then create that. And the only requirement for this class is the number of lines minimum. That's it, right? So if it happens to be a picture of something, if it happens to be this, if it happens to be that, incorporate them all. But I want to see 10 lines in your 10. I want to see 9 lines in your 9. Awesome. So reading. There is required reading for this class. And who's read the required reading? I have. Nobody else?
No.
Okay. All right. We
I
have.
I read everything you gave to me.
Woo! I'm so glad. That's awesome. So, please. Well, she was a pretty good student. So there you go.
Yeah.
See what happens. but I'm student's pet, so that's why I'm here. Thank God. Some of these are really quick and super easy. This, I don't expect you to be able to read it. This is an insanely complex sigil created by John Dee.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Isn't it gorgeous and amazing? And this is why I say the sigil maker, sometimes the sigil maker just makes scribbles and they mean nothing. They're not compelling. They're not frightening. They're not beautiful. They're nothing your imagination can actually grapple with and grab onto. They're not going to work for you. Things that are going to work for you should follow your own aesthetic. Is it symmetrical? Is it beautiful? Does it have lines? Does it have letters? What is your soul unlock for? And bring those to your sheet of paper. Bring those with your pencil, right? Find those things that you can bring in your intent with and make a very clear fucking statement of intent, period. If you hand to God, I want world peace and happy clothes from Poshmark. Nothing. And you will deserve nothing because you made no adequate statement of intent, right? So some of this reading is a single sentence, right? And that is, as long as an idea is being examined, you are free from it. This is the essence of the work that we're doing here. We are examining the possibility of these noetic structures, these Platonic ideals, and calling them into being and creating them so that the universe can begin analyzing us and give us answers about self and begin manipulating the world. Does that make sense? Awesome. So that's really where and the required reading is always going to be like that on this list, right? And I'm going to let you guys go home and do the required reading. If you have questions about it, please bring them to the next class and we'll discuss questions about
Is there reading that should, so we read what we were supposed to read today, and then we read what we're supposed to read for next week, before next week.
Yeah, exactly.
All of this is on the website, by the way. So like everything that he's showing you here is all on the website.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can just take a look at the required reading before you show up, that would be awesome, because then, I already know all this. I've been doing this for years. Use me. That's what you guys have the benefit of, is being able to use me to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So bring your questions about the required reading when you come next week. And I did want to poll everyone in the group and make sure that because here's ideally and magically, here's what I would love to see happen. But I realize people have lives and schedules. And that is that I would love for there to be 7 days in between each class, and that the days rotate backwards through the week. So next week would be on a Tuesday, and the following on a Wednesday, and the following on a Thursday, and the following on a Friday, and the following on a Saturday. That way you have a full 7 days, and you can sandwich your 3 castings in between a pause day. And observe. But I realize people have schedules. So I wanted to put it out to every student here. Is this something that you felt like you could kind of wrap yourself around? I mean, it's 13 weeks. It's an enormous commitment. And I am very aware of the seriousness of that commitment. That's a lot. And even if you walk away today with the tools that I gave you in the basic reading that I just gave you and the tech, and you use it, you will get results. Yeah. However, I would love to see you guys through the whole project, all 13 weeks, including your best of Big Chief, and which really is, that's the stuff, right? This is everything that like I get to milk out of the udders of God, right? Is what's going to be in your best of Big Chief. So who all would be able to do that kind of a schedule?
I think I would. I think that I'd have to look if it was at 7:30 every single time, then that would work. I'm trying to think if on Saturdays and Sundays it might conflict with another class. But I
Right.
don't think so. I think that we have 4 to 6 on Saturday, and yeah, technically as far as the school schedule goes, we'd be good.
Awesome. So we have at least 2. How about you, Erin? Do you feel like you could accommodate that schedule, or would it be problematic?
So my life is not accommodating to anything. That is the only bad part, and that's why I've done so much solo work, is because I work full time. I have a far too large house, and then I at times have 3 plus children within the home, depending
Yeah.
on the week. So
Sure.
it's always, and yeah, classes in 5 minutes. I just finished dinner. Let's go. And then some days I'm like, no, I literally haven't showered in like 16 days. I would love to get a shower today. So it's always kind of,
Kids.
yeah, it's always kind of, okay, I can make it for this one.
Okay. So Erin's going to be a video student. Awesome. We know that.
I'm a chaotic student.
Well, I mean,
24/7.
you'll have access to the video. So we're recording
Yeah.
all of these. So you'll be a recording, but you'll
Yep,
be a
and I
recording
work
student.
from home, so the
Yeah.
good part is I can always set up my MacBook
That's
and
right.
every once in a while take a break, watch, and then go back to
Awesome.
work.
Awesome. So I see that Caitlin's here and Kim is here. I hope you heard the proposition and can weigh in. How do you guys feel? How do you gals? I'm sorry, I don't know your pronouns yet. We haven't had the introduction talk. I'm he, him. My name is Shantat. And so Kim.
Or she, her. Yes, I did hear the question. So I'm trying. My work schedule's so weird because it just it varies so much. I would probably be a half and half student. I could probably make like the classes that I can.
Half
and
of the
whatever
classes.
Yeah, I'll do the
Awesome.
video.
Awesome.
I'll go for it. I'll give the commitment to do this full 7 days, because I understand that the essence of that need for the class, in order for the class to actually resonate and sit in the body.
In you, yes.
And in my complex, in my body.
That's right.
And so I will make it work. It will mean that I will be pausing so I can yell at a teenager occasionally, like I did.
Yes.
Like I did just there, because it's dark out and he decided he wants to go to the park.
Oh, of course.
So I said, yeah, you can go to the park. You just have to be home before dark. But yeah, I'm going to make the commitment because it's important.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. How about you, Kim?
Catlin? Catlin replied in the chat.
Kim, did Kim check in? You
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
yes. Awesome. Catlin is how you prefer to have it pronounced? Caitlin.
Caitlin. Sorry,
Caitlin.
I've only
Okay,
ever
very good.
typed your name. I'm so sorry. I've only read it.
I think it's Caitlin, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
She responded in the chat.
Oh, okay. So look at the chat.
And she says she's down. Awesome.
Awesome. For the 7 days in between. Awesome. Okay, very good. Also, microphone is not working today.
Are your
If
pronouns
if I had
she, her,
looked,
Caitlin? Do you use she, her pronouns? Awesome. Thank you.
all of the above. Awesome. They, them, she, her. Perfect. Okay, so I don't know when Kim and Caitlin joined the group. We have the recording. Please, by the time next week comes around, if you missed any more than really the first like 15 minutes of this, please go back and rewatch the beginning. It has a lot of laying out some of the intent. It has the definition of a sigil itself. It has some of my sort of philosophical approach and where I'm coming from as far as my background. It also has the expectations for the class, right? The only required reading are the memo prints, right? Reading week 1, page 1, right? So each week we'll have week 2, week 3, week 4, and these material will stack up. Now, these material all can be reached from the link in the chat, which is the classroom for me, which is Praxis. Okay, so you can get to that in the divination website under the Praxis page, and all of the links are there in the practical sigilization outline document. The links to all of your materials are right here. And all I'm going to be doing is adding to those materials for each week.
Okay.
Okay.
We have the class too on different days, because I do know of 4 students who are really excited to meet you, but they do role playing in Dungeons and Dragons on Mondays. So they'll probably be here on Tuesday and on Wednesday and on Thursday.
Awesome. No, that sounds great. That's perfect. Absolutely. I play D&D too.
Awesome.
We have coven members in Reno, and the way that we really kind of keep the clan and family together is, you know, we D&D, and it's awesome. So
awesome.
yeah,
I love
sure.
D&D.
Oh yeah, it's totally fun. But so yeah, so all, and this has an outline for you. Now I'm gonna add some of my talking point notes to this, so in case I don't get to that beforehand, there's a little more in depth on what theory of magic we're working off of, some additional names for sigils, the actual practice, and really the specific focus for each sigil throughout the series, right? Because I want to cover it from not just manifestation, but also as a mnemonic, or as a self-discovery, or as a attempt at creating a servitor or egregore, or invoking the divine, or, right? So all of these methods are within the practice of this work. Okay, and we have a couple of minutes. We have 2 minutes. I want to open it up for questions, comments, gripes about the government and grocery store.
Thank you so much for offering and doing this course through divination. I mean, Alex is an amazing, she does so much, but it's just really awesome to be able to have a lot, you know, someone who's got, not that Alex doesn't have a lot of experience.
Oh, it's fine. Shenton has way more than me. It's
No,
totally fine.
but you know what I mean. I was just, didn't want to make it sound that anyway. Just thank you so much for putting this forth and having this as an opportunity for us. I really appreciate it.
You bet. You're welcome, and thank you for attending.
I think my big question is, if we do have any questions that are almost immediate questions, should we come to you? Should we come to Alex and just be like,
I can answer that. So I purposely, something I've been trying to bring up more is the reason for the Facebook group, and the reason all the professors are in the Facebook group is so that you can just post and tag Shentat. And so you can tag Shentat and be like, I was working on my sigil and I have 19 questions. Can you answer them?
Yeah, because you know, Alex, I ask like a million questions outside of class, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm so lost today. So yeah, I wanted to see, like, could I just post in the chat and be like, I've sat here for 24 hours staring at a blank sheet of paper, and like I'm gonna just cry. I haven't worked or showered now in 17 days.
Right. Yeah, day 17.
Day 17.
Your hair is like stiff in this direction.
Like, I'm not saying that I'm on day 17 with 4 dry shampoo cans sitting next to me, but my hair is definitely a brick.
So
that would be
you
me.
Can use the Facebook group and tag Shentat.
Okay,
awesome.
Perfect.
Yes, that's the best of all possible solutions.
Perfect.
That way everyone would get the benefit of both your question and the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, I think, Erin, thank you so much for bringing that up. And you know what, please, 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 I would encourage you, even with this material or with stuff that you find, right? Anything that inspires you, stuff it in the chat on the Facebook page. And if this is material that should be wrapped into the class, let's copy and paste, wrap it in.
So if you feel comfortable, I would love to get, if you wanted to share your sigil on the Facebook group as well, so that people could see it and we could talk about it and like have discussion, even for people who aren't in this class. That would be so
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yes, absolutely. All the way from I'm going to be so strict and I'm going to use the numbers and I'm going to do the line and all the way to, I am completely anal explosive and everything is on the page.
I gotta say, when you put out the Sudoku thingy I was like, oh, I'm so screwed. But I've been using the alphabet with numbers for decades.
Yeah.
So it's nothing. As soon as you did it, I was like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
No problem. But when you put that, when I saw that thing, I was like, oh, fuck. God, I hate that.
Yeah, see, I'm not a math person, so I used the circle for mine, and I was like,
right.
Because they showed the two different ones, and I'm like,
Yep.
I know I work for mortgage stuff, but like numbers, you want me to do number? No, absolutely not. We're drawing a circle. That's what you're getting.
that is and as far as sigil creators, you can Google sigil creator, seriously. And there are 1,000 different designs, and each one is appropriate to whatever line of magic that they're working with. The one that Aleister Crowley gave to the OTO is actually very beautiful, and it's a laman in its own right, and it's got the rosy cross, and all the letters are on a petal for this beautiful lotus in the center. It's lovely, and you can draw sigils all day and all night, and they're gorge, right? And they're even like there are even ones where you can type in your sentence and it will generate one for you. And some of them are very sophisticated and they come up with beautiful results. Now, I will say this, hang on, Tanya. That's right. Oh, you see, you were way ahead of me, girl. That's right.
It's okay. That's Alex throws things
you didn't take the time. You didn't discover this process. You didn't put your pen or pencil to paper to create this sigil, which is yours.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I really want to hand off to every single one of my students, no matter who and no matter what I'm teaching, it is that I am going to hand you some ethical skills. And by ethical, there's a very hard philosophical term, and ethical skill is a thing which is teachable. And I'm going to hand you only ethical skills. The mystery of the craft unfolds in how you apply those skills and the results that you get from them. And that can't be taught. Hopefully, you guys run into that this time.
And remember too that sigils can be, if you've taken any of my numerology classes, if you have taken any of my runes work classes and any of the tarot classes, you can turn the numbers that you had a huge connection with into sigils. You can turn anything, you can turn the beautiful runes or the worlds of Norse mythology into sigils as well.
That's right. And all of those have numerical equivalents, right? I mean, all you have to do is open up a pack of tarot and look, there's your numbers.
Yep.
Right? If you can translate it in intention to a series of numbers, you can visualize those numbers in any way that makes appropriate sense to what you can use for a sigil. The true and core work has nothing to do with the actual sigil creation in sigilization. It is focused attention on a condensed symbol of that precise intent long enough that you can build up enough power behind it that when you do cast it, the universe drinks it in, reproduces it, and hands it back. So here you go. It's what you ordered, right? And you say, yes, this tastes exactly what I ordered. Thank you so much. Can I have a Bellini? With this Benny, please. Awesome.
Thank
So-
you so much, Shantat. Thank
Of
you.
course.
You're amazing.
Clyde, say that after class 1 when you're like, what are we doing? Ah. For sure. So between now and then, please avail yourself of all of the class materials. Please do the required reading. There is a QR code here. That's if you care to make a donation to the coven that I'm High Priest of and support. This would go directly to, I will show you. Where can you be found? Shantat, COTW.live. And this is us. Does that look familiar? Sure does. And so look at that event. Wow, shocking and familiar.
Oh, you have my website up there. Cool.
I do on our website.
What's that? What's that? What's that? Go back.
This is from the book that
No,
I wrote.
The next one.
Oh, this
that.
is yes. Well, this is a sigil of my own, and this is for mnemonic purposes. These are the 11 palaces of hell. And this was in a whole series of workings that I did where I explored what are called the Cliphotic tunnels of Set, which
Okay.
are kind of the dark side of the tree of light. So if you think, or the tree, well, I call it the tree of light, right? Because I actually redid the tree of life, the 10
Yeah.
Sephiro and the 32 roads, right? And only I'm not doing it on the king scale or the queen scale. I'm doing it on a scale of actual visual light. And this is a book that I wrote, Liber HHH0. And this is the summation of my own personal discoveries from my exploration of the Cliphotic tunnels, some of which I'm much more conversant with than others. Some actually are playing out on historic scale, so they're not really sort of individual currents you can plug into. They're really historic currents that you kind of have to see playing out in like historic figures and yeah, so like that. But yeah, if you have more questions or concerns or gripes about the Croatian government.
And all of the books that Shantat has written are also on the website.
That's true.
Not only his page on Praxis, but also when I describe the professors, I put all of Shantat's work and all the books that he's written. So if you'd like to read his books, they're all on there.
Yep. Awesome. Any other questions?
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you next Tuesday. And I will get week 2 required reading in probably by Wednesday. And they're all going to be short. You're never going to get more than like 10 or 11 pages. They're all just going to be like a single page like this that I photograph, and then you'll be able to read. So, okay. All right, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
You betcha. Bye, guys. Oh,
Bye.
and please don't forget to hit the, I'm going to stop the share and let's hit the stop record. And then